Okay, so now that we completed doing our items list, there are a few more things that we are going to be looking at in regards to lists. So again, if we go up to the top of our menu bar under lists, we can see that there are a bunch of things that we haven't even talked about. Now, as far as this, again, it just depends on what you are doing in regards to setting up your lists. So we did our chart of accounts, we did our items list. Now, the next one is going to be price levels and sales tax codes. So all of these are going to be pretty much, okay, for price levels, that's going to be based on what kind of customer that you have. So you can charge them based on are they a vendor? Are they a commercial? Are they out of state? Are they, you can also with the price levels, you can also charge them an additional fee. So with this price level here, this is going to be something I'm going to talk about in chapter, let me see, price levels is chapter 3, okay, on what you can charge your customers. And then we will also get to see a little bit on chapter 9 as well when we talk about charging our customers an additional percentage for completing a job. So price levels, again, is going to be if, depending on what kind of customer there are, whether they're commercial, and it's also going to give us a little, percentage for getting a job complete for a customer. And we'll talk about that later, okay? Other things that we have here are going to be payroll tax items, okay? So again, payroll items is going to be talked more in depthly in chapter 11 per se. So we'll talk about what are the items that you can, charge, or I'm not charge, I'm sorry. So when we have our payroll items, so the things that we offer, our benefits, our deductions, the taxes that we need to pay for having employees, and all of that stuff is going to be considered payroll items. So they kind of separate each category based on who your people are, but also on the items that you actually, that pertain to your company. So again, your actual items list is more for your inventory, selling, right? Your price levels are based on your customers. Payroll is based on your employees, right? And then we'll talk about class lists, I believe, in chapter 2. So when we talk about class lists, it's more about how you want to categorize or reorganize your data based on either location, your line of your product line. So if you sell more than one item, you can separate your transactions based on classes, or even based on a profit center. Let's say my main office or my main location is here. That's my profit center. Or I'm sorry, profit center is like my sales group, my advertising group, my other groups, right? Those are going to be your profit centers. So with that being said, the next one that we would get to look at is going to be dealing with our terms. So do we have terms here? Okay, I see templates, memorize reports, custom. Okay, so I think it's under here. Terms. Here you go, terms list. So dealing with customers and vendors on a more, what do you call it? Section by section. These are the things that you can have lists for. So you can have a sales representative list. Okay, so we'll talk about if you do have one. So a 1099 person, they can have a list of their particular clients. For other things too, could be vendor type list. So again, we talked about your commercial vendors, your independent contractors. Those are going to be considered vendor types. And then we'll talk about job types in chapter 2. Terms list, okay? Terms. So if you guys are familiar with terms, I know that my accounting class should be, my previous accounting class should be familiar with terms. It's basically if you offer either a customer a incentive or a discount if you pay them within a certain amount of time. Same thing with a vendor. A vendor can also give you an incentive by offering a discount for you to pay within a certain day. Other words, if you don't offer an incentive, what a term is basically giving me the date that it's due. All right. So if you don't offer one, you can create just a regular due date. So oftentimes it's also referred as net 30 or net 15, net 20, those kind of things. So as you can see here, we already have 1% 10 net 30. We have 2% 10 net 30. We also have consignment. Okay. We also have due on receipt, net 15, net 30, and net 60. So this is going to be something that if you plan on creating these incentives, or if you notice that your vendor is giving you incentives or a due date, typically this is where you're going to go ahead and create this item, so then when you fill out your forms, it becomes a lot easier to fill out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to create one. So let's go ahead and create a let's do a fake one. Okay, so other ways to do it, same thing. You can right click in new, go down to terms, new, and of course edit menu. You can go ahead and do new item. Okay, so in this case I'm going to go ahead and right click and click new. So here's the little window on how you want to create your terms. So the first one is obviously, what are you going to title your terms? So I'm going to go ahead and make up an example. I'm not going to go what the book says. So let's say we offer 10%, okay? If they pay within the next 10 days, okay? If not, the bill is due. Okay, I can't put. There you go. Net. The bill is due in net 30 days. Okay, so that's what I want to. This is going to be my terms that will appear on my terms list. So here now I'm actually going to break it down. So net due in. Okay, how many days? 30 days. Discount period percentage is going to be 10%. Okay, and then same thing, discount if paid within 10 days. All right, same thing, it goes pretty straightforward. And all right, and then we can go ahead and click OK. Here it is. I have my 10%, 10 net 30. Okay, notice that they don't have commas. So I'm going to go ahead and edit that so it looks the same. So they don't have commas, they just have spaces between them. Right? Okay. So there you go. All right. Now, if you actually notice, every time we keep entering a brand new item, what you're going to notice is that for any instances, if I want to edit my item for any reason, you have this little button that's usually in the column that says okay, cancel, etc., etc. You can inactivate any item that is listed. So in this case, I could say, well, I never use this one, so therefore it won't appear. And same thing as your chart of accounts, you would just go back to the bottom and show what is there. So that means I have the capabilities to be able to inactivate anything, including people. So we'll talk about that when we start, entering in our customers. You can inactivate them too. So the great thing about QuickBooks is you can just keep building, building, and building. And all you have to do is if you don't use an account anymore, just make them inactive. So as you can see, the more you build, the more items or names that you're going to be utilizing in your books. So that's also one thing too. Are you able to have enough space if you keep adding, adding, and adding and adding to your company file? And again, that's also going to determine which QuickBooks application you should be using. So that's also a downside too, is the more that you keep adding to your QuickBooks, the more space that you're going to be utilizing. So that's also another factor that you have to take into consideration. But that's also a bonus because that way, if you need to re-inactivate another account, so let's say, oh, you know what, I'm feeling generous, I'm going to go ahead and allow them to have a 10%. Same thing, you can just reactivate it and boom. Now you can go ahead and use this item. Okay?
Lynn,
Yes.
I have a question.
Go for
What
it.
do you mean when you say inactivate?
What do you mean? Like, okay, so
You,
if you no longer use them,
so okay, so you're deactivating them and not activating them.
yes.
Okay, so so when you say inactivate, you're deactivating them, which means you're not using them anymore.
Let me see. Yes, 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 yes. Sorry.
Okay, I just want to make sure because I'm like I'm trying to get some clarity on what you're saying.
Okay, so in QuickBooks, it's not called deactivate, it's called inactivate.
It's called
Okay?
inactivate, and
Yes.
that means that you're not using it.
You're no longer using it and you don't want to clutter your QuickBooks account. Now, of course, can you imagine your terms list ever being cluttered?
No.
No. But it's a personal preference like, oh, I don't like having all these accounts I don't use anymore to be there. So, of course, you can just inactivate them. All right. And then the other word that I'm supposed to use reactivate or activate. So I think they use activate. Yeah, activate. So they're activate and inactivate.
Thank you for that clarity.
Yes, of course. So in this case, if I want to make it active again, I go ahead and right click here. And now I can use that item again. Now, for any reason you're currently in you're trying to bill your customer and you realize that you want to give them terms, but the account is currently inactive. You can go ahead and submit the form, activate the account, and then go back and edit. Okay, so unfortunately, you do not have the option while you are doing it, while you're filling out your form, you cannot inactivate or I'm sorry, you can't activate an inactive count. You have to manually do it in the list before you can use it. So make sure that you know that, okay? So in case you do, because it will not appear on the list when you start typing in everything, okay? It will not appear because you chose to inactivate it to no longer use it. So it's not considered on the list of your current accounts that you are using or current items. So make sure that you are aware of that, and when you inactivate your account, that you're for sure that you're no longer using it. But if you have a potential to use it, activate it before doing your transaction. Okay? So that is the terms list here. Okay? So now I'm going to talk about custom fields. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a quick example on what a custom field does. Now, this is applied towards when we enter in our vendor or we enter in our customer or employee. But I'm just going to give you a little quick idea of what a custom field is. So I'm going to go ahead. So the first vendor I have here is Ace Supplies. So if I go to my little additional information here, this is where I can place in anything that I would like in regards to understanding or adding more information to our particular person. Okay, so again, custom fields can only be used on people. Okay, the other one for items and stuff, that's going to be another custom field, but that's going to be for items only. So you have two custom fields that you can do. So remember when we talked about the chart of accounts, you can create up to 5 customized sub-accounts or subtypes given, but you can only go up to 5. All right, and you can make it whatever you want, whether you want it to create as a bank account, as an accounts receivable account, whatever you want to keep your items organized. Okay, but when we have for our list of people, you have a maximum of 15 custom items that you can have. Now, we'll talk about this next week on using it, but in this case, I'll give you a little idea of what a custom field does. So here in my little vendor list here under additional information, it's basically anything that you feel pertinent that you need to know that can separate or identify your particular customer, vendor, or employee. So this is also known as useless information, or it could be useful for you. So for example, here I have a supply. All right, what kind of useful information can I have that's pertinent to the company itself that isn't part of the address, the payment options, et cetera, tax options, those kind of things, right? And we'll talk about what those entail. So for example, I'm going to go to, let's say I met the owner of this company and I learned something about their company. I learned that this company was established at they established themselves officially in 2010. So that means their 10-year anniversary is coming up, all right, or has passed, whichever way you want to look at it. And let's say you do get invited to their 10-year anniversary. So with Ace Supplies, if you know that piece of information, you can create a custom field. So then when that day comes, and if they do have a company party, you can send them a nice, generous gift saying, congratulations for having your business for 10 years. All right? So that's what you can use for custom fields too. Now, when it comes to your customers or employees, a great way to, spark conversations is, do they have a significant other? Do they have hobbies? Okay? And that's going to be personalized based on individual cases, right? Especially for your employees, your best efforts to get to know your employees is going to heighten up your relationship. They're going to more likely be more inclined to work with you if you know something about them. So for example, for my custom fields, for my employees, I'd like to know if they have a significant other or not. Okay? And if they do, what's their name? So then the next time you have a conversation with your employee, you could be like, oh, how's your wife? Okay? And again, that's what custom fields is for. It's basically a little database that you can collect extra information based on your either customer, employee, or employee. So of course, there are certain fields that can apply to all 3, or it can only apply to certain people. Okay, for example, my business start only applies to my vendors. It doesn't really apply to my customers or my employees because they're going to tell me that they have businesses and what their start day is. So it makes sense that way. So here, what I can do is if I want to create a custom field, I go ahead and click define fields. And here's the list of things that you can have. So the first one that they've used so far is county. All right. So yes, you definitely want to, for your vendors at least, and your customers, is what county do you belong to? Right? Do you belong to Clark County? Do you belong to Reno County? Do you belong to Orange County, LA County, right? The more information you get on these people, the broader and ways to spark a conversation, right? Your relationship will become stronger. So in this case, for me, this is going to be a sales slash kind of information for me. If I know that my customer belongs to Orange County, then I can automatically recognize that, boom, their taxes are going to be higher, or I need to charge them out-of-state tax because they don't belong in the same county as me. All right? For vendors, of course, same thing. They're going to charge you, okay, well, they belong to this county, so they're going to charge me more money. So things like that. Or, okay, they belong to that county. That means shipment's going to be a lot longer. All right, so these kind of pieces of information can be pertinent to you. It could be personal. It could be extra information that you don't maybe necessarily need. Hence, useless information. But again, other things is here. I have spouse's name. I'd like to know that for my employees. Maybe I would like to know that for my customers. So then when I send them a nice mail, I can say, oh, how's your... Or if I have a company party and my customers are invited, we can spark a conversation saying, oh, hey, how's your wife doing? All right. Same thing. I would like to apply that for my vendors as well. Because if they have company parties, you don't want to talk about business all the time. You may want to talk about your personal lives. Okay. So other things I want to include here. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and click that I want to do a new one. So I go ahead and type it in right away. So I can say, do they have a pet? Okay. All right. What kind of hobbies do they like to do? Okay. All right. Hobbies. And I'm going to go ahead and do business start date. Or what do you call it? We call that establish, right? Establishment date. Okay? So again, what these columns here is, well, which custom field can apply for a certain person, right? So for example, pets. I'm pretty sure you could apply to all three, but generally you're probably more likely to apply that to your employees. Hobbies could also apply to all three, because when you do have a conversation with them, maybe you can talk about something that they are interested in. Establishment date is obviously more for a, not a customer, a vendor. Okay. And again, you only have up to 15 custom fields. And each person that you deal with can only have the maximum of 7 fields. So this is why when I create a custom field, you want to make sure that you can maximize the use of it. So that's why we have the columns for customers, vendors, and employees, because every custom field that you create, you only have a maximum of 15. Now, you don't want to use all 7 for just your vendor. Then you can't use those 7 custom fields for anybody else except for your vendor. So that's why you want to, when you create a custom field, you want to make sure that you can, that specific field can be applied to all 3 people, okay? So again, for people, you have the maximum of 7 that they can have. But altogether, you can create a total of 15 items. that can be used for those people. For items, you can only create 5. The maximum is 5. All right. So here, as you can see, for my employee, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6, so they can do one more, but I'm just gonna leave it at here. So when I click OK, and I click OK, so what's gonna happen is now on my vendors list, right? I have now 4 custom fields that I can apply. So I can apply the accountee, I can apply what their spouse's name is, what kind of hobby they like, and what was their establishment date. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and show you what happens if I go to my employees. So if I go to my employee center and I create a new employee and I go to their additional information, it's right here. Now they have all 6 fields that I've created and said that this field can apply to my employee. So that is what custom fields does. It's just extra information that you can gather on a personal level basis. Okay, it's additional information that you feel that's necessary for in regards to your relationship with these people. Okay. Any questions on custom fields? No? Okay. All right. So, with every list that we've created so far, so this is custom fields. So, actually, let's just continue next. So the next part is that you can actually customize your actual sales forms. So, of course, under the lists here, now that we know that we have a custom fields list, okay, you also have templates. Now, what templates does is it basically allows you to customize your sales form to how your company wants to have release their information, right? So, for example, when you bill a client, you want to make sure that the paper has your company's logo on it. That's the what you can do for QuickBooks. Now, QuickBooks also has generic templates that are preset or pre-made for you guys. So in this sense, we're gonna try to create a template for a sales receipt. So when I make my invoices to my customers, this is how I want my customers to see. So again, when you are a small company and you don't have a logo just yet, you can obviously just type in your name or your company name. But oftentimes, you definitely want something to set yourself apart than from any other company that also uses QuickBooks, okay? They give you like a template so you have an idea of what your form should look like. And they also give you the options to preview it so you know what it looks like. Now, oftentimes, why they have a template is because when you're creating this on your own from scratch, you may forget a lot of information, such as you might forget your sales tax column or your quantity column. So that's why they make pre-made ones so then you have an idea of what to create. And what you can do is you can take a template and modify it to how you want it to look. Okay, so again, here is the different types of templates you can have. So you have your template for your invoices. You have templates for your credit memos. So again, when a customer or a vendor decides to return items to you, so if a customer returns an item to you, or if you return an item to a vendor, you're going to create a credit memo, okay? So that's what this is, okay? You can also create a sales receipt. So we'll talk about that in chapter 2, the difference between a sales receipt and an actual invoice. You can also do purchase orders. So again, if you are either receiving from somebody or you're trying to send it out to a different company, you can say specifically this is from my company. So you can customize purchase orders. Other things too is your statements. Again, when we talk about customer statements in chapter 3, right? When you start billing your clients, you want them to make sure that they know that what company this statement came from. So again, a lot of credit card companies, they send out statements to let you know that this is what your activity was, and now this is what your account balance is. So this is what, yeah, pretty much straightforward. Same thing with estimates and sales order, etc., right? Now, the only template you absolutely cannot modify is going to be a check. Okay? You cannot modify the check. The only modification that you can have is obviously your business name, your actual account number, and the account and the check number. But that comes standard when you order a checkbook from your actual bank. Now, another thing is you cannot put your company logo on a check. It has to be written out. So that's exactly why you cannot manipulate or create a check, because the crucial information that's on a check is the person that you're paying, the date that the check is available, the amount, and your signature, and plus of your bank account. So again, the only form that you cannot manipulate, customize, or create is a checkbook. Is an actual check, a company check. All right? Make sure that you understand that as well. Okay? So I believe in your book, let's see which template I am going to modify. I feel like it's a sales form. Let me see. Modifying sales forms. So your book is going to show you to modify, which one are we modifying? Intuit Service Invoice. So we're actually going to modify one of the invoices. So let me see. Intuit Service right here. All right. So now it's going to say, since you're going to create your own template based off of another template, it's going to ask you to make a copy of it. So what you can do is you can go ahead and be able to right click it and be able to create a copy of it. Or you can go down to your templates and create a copy of it. So duplicate right here. So I'm going to go ahead and make a duplicate copy. And then it's going to ask me, well, what am I making a copy of? And I said, well, because it's an invoice, I'm going to make a copy of the invoice. So when that happens, it's going to populate as it's supposed to do a copy of the Intuit. Oh, I hit the wrong one. Service. So I want this one to be a duplicate. Duplicate. Right here. And I want it to be invoice. Okay. So here you go. Now it creates a copy of the Intuit Service invoice. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the template. Okay. So again, you can utilize all of those options. Either right click, go down to the bottom, or you can go to edit menu. So here it gives you the options and it gives you a preview of what you want to do when it comes to this invoice. So again, for the logo and fonts, I can either use a logo or I can just type it in. In this case, it's just typed in. But I want to use a logo. So if I click use a logo, right, and I believe in the sample files, they tell you that you're going to go into your student portable files and you're going to upload an image of your company logo. So here's my class. I'm going to student portable files, and I'm going to go ahead right here. I have my logo right here, and I'm going to go ahead and click it. Now it says QuickBooks will now copy, and you're going to click OK. So now that I have it, look, on my preview, I have my company logo right here. Okay? So that's what I can do too, is you can customize it by creating a logo. The next thing it's going to ask you is, well, do I want to title it? I'm going to title it as, so I'm going to go manage, and it's going to say, well, what do you want to name it? Well, I definitely don't want to name it this. I want to name it something else. Oh, shoot. All right, so here at the very top, okay, so manage template, I want to rename it. So here's my, so here at the top of here says to change the title of it. I'm going to change it to Academy Photography Invoice. All right. As you can see, it's pretty generic. You got the invoice number, you got when the date happened, you have the actual shipping date or the who you're gonna mail it out to. I have my company logo on here, what they purchased from me, and the line item here for the total. So this looks pretty much good enough for me. Now there are, I think they do ask you to do a lot of other things. Now what you can also do is you can also customize the actual columns. Like, what if you have something extra in here? You'd be able to look at here. So here, if I go to my columns, I have quantity, etc., 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 right? If I want to eliminate a column, I can do so by going to the manage transaction and stuff. I can change the font if I don't like the font because it looks weird. So I can go ahead and select a different font for the title, etc., etc. I can also even change the color scheme. So in this case, I think they told you to choose maroon. So when I choose maroon, what's going to happen is I believe the line, which line is it? I think your book says at the top it should change the font and everything to the maroon color, and the borders of the windows are going to be in maroon. It's kind of hard to tell here, but now, so what you can do is you can change it to the your company color, okay? So that's what's cool about this too, is you can customize it based on the color as well. Okay, so here, apply. So here it changed my top line of my table to be in a light maroon color with the font to be in maroon, as well as the actual table lining. It's now maroon. Okay. So then if I want to change the font for my title, I can go ahead and do that by changing the fonts. So I clicked on my title and now I want to change it. So I'm going to change it to something a little more obvious. Let's do, what's obvious? Let's just pick up a random one. Let's do a bold one. Let me see if they have it. C. I don't think they have it. Yeah, I don't see it. But let's go ahead and use this font right here since this font looks interesting. All right, and I want it bold, and I'm going to make this size. So right now it's size 21. I'm going to make it size 24. Make it just a little bigger. If I click OK, now my title has been changed for my invoice right here. So that's what the title is. It's an invoice. it changed it to exactly how I want it to look. I changed it into that font and I changed it to that. And you can go ahead and change your company name too. Let's say you want your company name to look exotic. You can change the font there too. And of course, because right now your font color is also going to be, so I want to choose, let's choose this one since it caught my eye. Let's choose this one. All right, and I want my title to be a little obnoxious as well, so I want to make it size, let's make it size 22. And because it's my company logo, I'm going to change it to black since I have my company logo on there as black as well. So this is what it's going to look like, and I'm going to click OK. So boom, there it is. It didn't change my, it didn't change my color. So let's see if I can change it again. Okay, so change it to black. Okay, it's not working. It's not letting me change it to black. So that's okay. So there's a little bit of, what do you call it? Errors and things that you have to play with when you're messing around with customizing your actual thing. So as you can see, I just wrote Academy. Okay. So with that, it is going to be something that you want to mess around with when it comes to creating your own company profile or company, something that makes it significant, different from other companies for your, your invoices, your sales receipts, something that makes it look unique. A company logo is not going to do it. You want to make sure that you want to, emphasize your company's color. So in this case, the company's color is maroon. Okay? But I change it back to black. All right. So again, that is what you could do for custom fields. Custom templates. And I can go ahead and click OK. So the next time I actually have an invoice, I can go ahead and apply this invoice and to my customers. And so when they get billed this exact one, when they get billed, it should look exactly like this. Okay, I got my title at the top, the information it's going to fill out automatically, and it's in the color scheme of black. And the title is an invoice. So here you go, company logo. So that is pretty much it. Okay. As far as making sure that you've entered in everything, you do have the option to be able to print out all your lists. So as you saw when I went to my lists, so for example, my items list, I can come down here and I'd be able to print my list. Okay, and if I were to print my list, it's gonna show me, it's gonna tell me, well, where's my printer, how do I want it to look, etc., etc. Pretty straightforward, and when you get the printout, you can double confirm it says everything that you want. All right. I'm going to go ahead and click cancel. Another way that you can print out is going to be what the book tells you. You can go to your reports and you're going to go to lists and you're going to go to the items list. So here is you could get a preview of what the actual list looks like before printing it out. So again, you can print it using the top part right here where it says print. Okay. So that is it. And this is also going to be customizable. And we'll talk about that again when we deal with chapter 6, when we're dealing with our reports. Because this right here is a quick report of my list, of my items list. And what I can do is I can customize the columns that I want to show me. I can also customize the title, which is right here. It says Academy Photography. I can change that, the font, the color. I can do a lot of things, and we'll talk about that in chapter 6. Okay. Last thing I want to talk about is also for your chart of accounts or for any list that you have that you want to do. So whether it's your chart of accounts, whether it's your company, I'm sorry, not company, your customers list, your vendors list, or your employees list. For those who are experimented with or experienced, with QuickBooks, and if you're generating it using the Express Start, which means you're starting from ground zero, you didn't build a generic chart of accounts, you can easily upload your own chart of accounts into QuickBooks. So if you go down to, so here, for example, my chart of accounts here. If I were to go down to the bottom, I can select import from Excel. All right. Then once you do that, you're going to get this little window here that says, well, what is this file? Where are you going from? So you can actually take it from the file itself. And I'm going to go ahead and give you an example. So here, it's going to be a different company, but I just wanted to show you that you can upload your own chart of accounts if you would like, if you're starting from scratch zero. So again, this is my company right here that I have. I have a few accounts that, this is my pre-existing ones. So let's say I do have a already made chart of accounts in an Excel file. I'm going to go ahead and utilize the import from Excel option. And I'm going to go ahead and locate my actual file. So here, I'm going to go ahead and show you an example here for Coffee Cafe. I have my chart of accounts right here, and it's in Excel form. So if I click that, what's going to happen is like whether you have mappings or not. Mappings is going to be how many columns you have, like et cetera, et cetera. In this case, I'm going to see if I could just import it. I don't have any mappings, okay? So let's go ahead and add a mapping and add a name. So again, I'm just going to write Coffee Cafe. So I'm going to edit a new name. And I'm going to go ahead and write Coffee Cafe. All right, and here is the list of things that you see appear on your actual Excel sheet. So I definitely want to make sure that I have all of these here. So that's what's going to happen, and this is what's going to convert and enter into your actual chart of accounts. Okay, map type. It is an account. Customers. Oh, okay, so I definitely want to make sure it's an account. Coffee Cafe. Type. Import data. Yes, I want type. All right. Okay, now it says please map type name fields in. Oh, okay, sorry. So I have to actually match up my types here. So I'm going to put type. I'm going to match up my numbers. Yes, because I use account numbers. So I want to make sure that is there too. And I definitely want the account name. Ooh. Numbers. And I want account name. I don't need description. I don't need a bank. I don't need any of these extra information. So that's what I want to match when I export or import my file in here. And when I click import, what's going to happen? It's going to give you this little message. You're going to click OK. You're going to click save. I'm just going to save it here. Okay, so I'm going to go to Documents, LVP to QuickBooks class. I'm going to save it under Portable Files and this class. Right, save. Okay, I need to title it Chart of Accounts, Coffee Cafe. Save. All right, now that it exported all of my things in here, you're going to notice that you're going to, let me refresh it actually, so refresh. Okay, wait, let me exit out of here and go to my chart of accounts here. what you're going to notice is that there's a lot of extra information in here that isn't in my regular in my regular Academy photography. Notice that I have other assets. I have cost of goods sold. I have purchase discounts. These are all from my actual coffee cafe. So I've entered it all in here without having to deal with creating every single individual item here. So I never had travel expenses from my previous one. And if you notice, all of my accounts numbers I've entered in already. But it's also included, it's merged in as well with your previous ones, right? Because we had our previous ones. If we go to up here and look up our land, it's still there. Okay, so here I have my chart of accounts all in here with my necessary things. Okay, with all the extra stuff too. So I've other things in here as well. That's weird. Hold on, I'm not looking at this correctly. Okay. So I don't think it went through. It's supposed to go through. Sorry about that, guys. I'm trying to figure it out. So here I have my coffee cafe. How come it didn't go through? Mappings, import. Import is finished. Save. Actually, wait, cancel. Let's not save it again. So I don't know why some of my accounts didn't go in. Okay, so I do have some also accounts that are already pre-existing, so they could have replaced it, but I don't see some of my accounts that should have been in here, and this is weird because I did this yesterday. So import from Excel. Here's this. My mappings are there. Import is finished. Don't save. And nothing has happened. All right, I don't know what's going on, but that's how you're supposed to import things from a file. It may have to do with maybe some of these accounts are they have alike properties, meaning that they're the same name. But I don't know why I don't see a lot of the accounts that I have for my chart of accounts. All right. But yes, it's supposed to work. That's how you import your list, and I don't know why it's not working today. But that's how you do it. All right. So that.
I'm sorry. So you import those information, copy every single thing to that.
It should. It should. Okay. So, well, that's how you do it that way. Now, another one that you can do is you can actually copy your information and paste it in as a what do you call it? You could. So if you have a list of customers, right, and it's a lot of information, what you can do is you can copy and paste it directly from your Excel sheet into your actual list. It's called by editing multiple lists in there. So you can enter in things simultaneously instead of doing it all one at a time. So, for example, if I want to do my customers list, and we'll talk about that when we go into vendors and stuff, you can. So let me go to the vendor center and show you what you can do. So for example, if I want to enter in a new vendor, I can enter in multiple vendors at a time. And this is what I was talking about when you can enter in data like a list. So this is where you can enter in all of your customers list, and you can copy and paste them as well as export and or import. Sorry, I keep saying export. Importing a file that has all of these things in there for you. So yes, you can enter it in, and what you can do is you can edit. You can edit information simultaneously. So entering in a list. Again, you can copy and paste everything in here. Okay, using your copy and paste features. So again, so it makes it a lot easier for you to fill out your QuickBooks with a lot easier thing, making it a lot easier to fill out and complete your company file by having everything more filled out with your vendors list, your company list, as well as your chart of accounts. So yes, you can enter it in that way as well. Just a little, instead of having you do it one at a time, which we looked at when we looked at for the Express, thinking about all the charts of accounts, thinking that you have to enter in everything one at a time. No, you can enter it in multiple at a time. And if you don't want to do it at all, you can import whatever list that you have available. Okay, so with that being said, that is the end of customizing QuickBooks. All right, any question?
I have a question, but my
Yes.
question isn't pertaining to this situation. It's still QuickBooks.
Mm-hmm.
I I went to PETA yesterday to go get my QuickBooks 2018
Mm-hmm.
and to upload and open all of the files, and it's asking for a password.
Well, what do you mean by password?
Because restoring the information,
Mm-hmm.
Academy Photography Adjustment Problem 1,
Mm-hmm.
I restored it and it's asking for a password.
In your book, for example, every single one, it will tell you the password is Sleater18.
Okay.
So for every problem, so for this one, problem number 1, it tells you the exact file and it tells you the exact password that you need.
Okay. So, and then once this class is over, when we get to the end, I have another question to ask you. But okay, thank you.
Okay. So here, let's go ahead and go over the review questions. So here we are for chapter 7. So number 1, okay. You can create a custom field for,
But it's D.
yes, D, A, and C. You can only create custom fields for customers, vendors, or people, but you can't create custom fields for templates. Okay, it's not an item. Okay, so, all right. Number 2, the 2 types of preferences are A, user and company. Good. Number 3, okay, if you can't see the favorites menu, you can, okay,
D. View menu.
Z,
C.
okay, yes, it's C. View it through the view, or have it show upon by using it through the view menu. So again, if you need a recap or refresher, you go to the view menu bar right here. It says view. It says to have the favorites menu. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish up the rest of the questions. Number 4, okay, which of the following is not an available template type?
Check.
Check. Yes. You absolutely cannot modify a check for various reasons because these things should be already preset, pre-ordered, pre-made. All right. If you pay sales tax to more than one agency, you should
Sales tax group. D.
A sales tax group. Yes. All right. Good job, everybody. So
No, key.